Blackboard tests or Blackboard exams. So for that, at the moment, I'm sharing you my Blackboard page. I hope you can see my screen here. And all of you see my screen? Can all see my screen? Okay, so you are looking at my Blackboard screen. So the way I'm going to do this webinar is as follows. First of all, in the first half an hour, I will explain how to make a simple multiple choice question exam or a test in Blackboard. After that, we will look at randomization and pooled exams, where, for example, we may have 50 or 100 questions, but at the time of the quiz for the students, we would like to give them randomly only 10 questions from that pool. So we'll look at that later. At the moment, I would like to make a simple test. So in order to do that, I should go to one of my courses. I will choose this course here. And then in order to make the test, either you can start from assignment and tests, okay, to create a new test. But I don't suggest you do that from here because these things are available for students. And you want to create an exam well before you actually give it to the students and you show it to the students. So in order to make a new quiz or a new test, first of all, go to your course management, control panel, and choose course tools. In the course tools, you will see almost right to the end, one before the last option is tests, surveys, and pools. So it is this place that we can make tests. We can also make surveys where you can ask students opinions about something, or you can construct banks of questions and put them into small banks with so many number of questions. For this first part, we want to make a simple test. So I will choose to go to tests. In the tests, you may see the test that you have created before. We would like to start from scratch. So we are going to start to build a new test. So the option to choose is build test. In the build test, first of all, we will give it a name. So we can say this is quiz 1 theory. And then we can give some description. So description and instructions are two things that go with any test. You would like to give some explanation about this exam to the students. So you need to write a little bit here before they actually commence the exam or commence the quiz. So before they will start, you need to give them some description and you need to give some instruction. So in here, I will write this is a practice quiz. It is taken from the general information topic. And then in the instructions, I will write here what I would like the students to do. So in here, I will write answer each question by selecting one best answer for each question. Okay, so that suffices for the instruction. Then I go down and I have no other options in the canvas to do. Only we have to select a title for the exam or for the quiz, a little bit about the description. You may also want to say how many marks are available for this quiz, okay? And you may want to add a little bit more in the instruction that you can change your answers or you can't change your answers. You can only go forward, or you will see all the questions on one page and you can treat it just like a paper exam. Answer whichever one you want first, change as you like until the time is finished. Before that, you click and submit. So description, instruction, and we submit. Now we have submitted. It's telling us that the quiz that we have planned to make has some description and has some instructions, but it does not have any questions, nor does it have any marks. So the next thing we want to do is to add, create, or reuse questions that we may already have. First of all, let us make a new question. I know that most of our staff, we already have these questions ready in Microsoft Word somewhere. We may have collected the questions from different people and we want to use those questions in this exam. For the sake of simplicity, the first thing is, let's say we have no questions, we are going to make new questions from now. So we will go to create question. That will show you the different types of questions that we can use for Blackboard tests. We may have calculations, we may have either or, we may have an essay, a fill-in response, multiple blank, lots of. So at the moment, for simplicity case, we are going to use multiple choice questions. So this question that I want to add is a multiple choice. In this question, we may give it a title, saying this question is from introduction. And then the first thing we want to add here is the stem of the question, is the question itself. So we can say, what is the capital city of Saudi Arabia? Question mark. What is the capital city of Saudi Arabia? That is our stem. Below that, we will see the options. So these options will come with every question. Do you like, or would you like to use some sort of a numbering system for the choices? Some people like to use 1, 2, 3. Usually people like to use ABC. Either capital ABC or small letter ABC. So I would like ABC. Then the presentation of that question. Do you want the ABCD choices that you have in a vertical manner or in a horizontal manner? So that is the choice here. Usually we want it vertically. So a stem will be there for the question. Below that will be 4 choices or 5 choices for the answer for this question. The next 2 options are, if someone gets it like in a multiple answer question, he gets one of the answer correct. Do you want to give him some partial credit? So if the question is worth 1 mark, if he gets half of it right, do you want to give him half? So you can choose that one. Usually we don't. We say either you get it right or you get it wrong. So you get full mark or you get 0 marks. And the last option in the options menu is the way in the choices display, the way the choices are going to be displayed. Every time this question is going to be used, do you want the order of A, B, C, D, E to remain the same? Or you want to say every time this question is used for all my students in this course during the exam time, the choices should be randomized? Then we can select yes for this one and put tick here. So anytime students will have this question, even they are doing the exam at the same time, every student will have the 4 or 5 choices that you have selected for this question in a random manner. Okay. The next thing to do is to actually put the choices. In the choices, we'll have by default, I think 4, but sometimes you have a question which only has 3 answers. So you can change that and remove one of them. Okay. So we are starting with 4. Sometimes we may have 5 answers. One of them will be correct for a multiple choice. So if you have 5, then you can choose 5 from here. So by default, it's giving you 4 choices. Most of our exams in the medical college have 4 options or 5 options. So for my exam, I put 4. Now, the first choice here, if you can see on the left-hand side, it's got a bullet and a button to define that this is going to be the correct answer. So in this case, if you are randomizing the choices, then it doesn't matter that the correct answer can remain in A. But for some exams, you may not be randomizing. So you didn't select this option here, show answers in random order. If you take it out, if you do 10 questions and always put the correct answer in A, and students find out, they will finish the exam very quickly without even reading your questions, saying all answers are A. So therefore, in Blackboard, we are saying we're going to randomize the choice, then always put the correct answer in the first option. Okay. If you go down, you can see that the other choices also have a bullet next to it. Okay. So let's make 4 answers for our question. So first of all, we'll say Riyadh, and this is the correct answer. Or we may put first one to be Jeddah and the second one to be Riyadh. In this case, I'll have to select this one to be the correct answer. I think the e-learning deanship, they are recording. So don't worry about recording myself. Can you confirm that you are recording this webinar? Okay, good. So you have an answer there that they are recording. Okay, so don't worry about this. Will be available later. So getting back to our question, we are putting 4 choices for this question. The correct answer can be in any one of the 4, but make sure that you put this choice for the correct answer here and you select it that this is the correct answer. By default, Blackboard will give you the first choice to be the correct answer. Okay, but you can change that. So our answer, correct answer is number 2, and I put selected there. So I need to put another 2 more answers. We can't forget Abha. Number 3 is Abha. And number 4, we can say it is Dammam. Now we have put in the 4 choices and we have made sure that the correct answer is in the right place. Okay. After that, if you want to say for this question, I want only 3 choices, then you can remove one of them. See, there is a remove button here. So one of the choice can be removed. Sometimes we have a question where there are no 4 answers. Say for a acidity measurement, either it is acidic, basic, or neutral. You don't have another choice. Therefore, you can take one of the choices out. Okay, so removing one of the choices is here. For my question at the moment, I need 4 choices. I have put 4 choices. I have also defined what is the correct answer. Okay, then I go down. There is a feedback section. So if you are creating a quiz or an exam, and for every question you want to give feedback to the student, whether he got it right or wrong, you can put the response here. For a simple quiz, we are not going to give them any feedback. We will give them the score at the end. So I will not put anything here. But if you would like, you can show to the student that when this question was answered, either you got it right and you could write, well done. Okay? Or you can just say correct. And for the negative feedback, you can say incorrect. So this is the feedback they will receive when they have answered this question. Sometimes you can show it at the end of the exam, their whole performance, what are the correct answers, what are the wrong answers. Sometimes you don't want to show them, or sometimes you don't want to give any feedback. So for this question, for simplicity, I don't want to give any feedback, so I leave it empty. Okay, then I go down. If you are considering to make banks of questions, then you can start defining some ways in which to find this question in your data bank, in your questions bank. And you can also define the level of difficulty, from which topic it is coming, which category it is coming, what is the keyword. Usually we don't put anything here because we are making a simple practice exam. Okay, if it was for real, you could start organizing your questions into difficult question, easy questions, into categories like these questions belong to a certain topic. These other questions, they belong to another topic, another category. Okay, so categories and keywords can be defined here. At the moment, for this simple quiz, I'm not going to put anything here. So I have not given any feedback to the student about this question, to the question takers or the quiz takers. I have not defined any category or keyword. You may also would like to give some notes to the actual instructors, to the teachers who are teaching with you in this exam. For example, I could say, during the exam, please do not answer any questions of the students. Or there is a question, it needs a bit of explanation. When the students ask you, tell them what it is. Okay, so you can write some instructor notes here. This is only for the instructor. Okay. So we have defined a question. It has a stem. It's a multiple choice question. It has 4 choices. The second choice is the correct one. Let me come back to the actual question here. I typed this question. Some of our colleagues, they may have this question already prepared in Word. They don't want to type it manually. They want to copy from Word to here. Please bear in mind, when you copy from Word into Blackboard, there is some hidden formatting, like the style of the font, the color of the font, the size of the font, which is already defined in Word. Sometimes it does not carry forward to this place, and it may mess your display of the question. Therefore, I would suggest, if you are going to copy from already prepared document that you have, first of all, take those questions from Word into Notepad, as a simple text program. Okay, so it will lose all the formatting. There will be no color, no size. It will be in a default same size for all the text that you have. From the Notepad, then you can copy and paste it in this place. Once you are here, then you can decide, saying, I want bold for the question. So I can highlight everything. And there is a menu at the top. So it tells you what font to use, what size to use, okay? Whether you want bold, italic, underlining, cross out, okay? At this place also, you may want to bring a picture to support this question. So you may want to give a small picture of Saudi Arabia, for example, showing. So you can say either before the question, so I can put some space, and at this place, I can use this icon here and insert a picture. This picture will remain with this question. For this simple question, I don't want to put any formatting. I do not want also to be adding any pictures to this place, okay? So I will leave it as it is and just put the space out. Now we have created one question. Right at the end of the options menu and the creation menu for question, you can say, okay, submit and create another question. So let us put one more question. And this time I'll go a bit quicker. So we can say, where is Asir Central Hospital? And then I go down. I want ABCD to be systematic. I want randomization. And this time I'm going to put the correct answer in the first place. Then the other are Riyadh, Jeddah, and let's say Khamis Mashhad. And then no feedback, no instructor notes, no categories. Just go either now to submit one more question, or let's say we want to add another type of question. So let's submit this now. So it's telling us by default what happened now. We have 2 questions. The Blackboard already selected that for every question there will be 10 marks. So the total marks is 20. I can change that, saying, okay, select all questions in my bank or in my quiz. And I say, no, instead of 10, I want only 1 mark. Okay, so now when I press OK, come back to my quiz again. This is practice quiz created today. Where has it gone? Okay, I'm back here. Update. That's what I should have done. So this quiz has got 2 questions, and now I've defined every question to be 1 mark. Okay, in this way I can add more questions if I want. Also, if I find that this correct answer was in the wrong place, I could also go and edit this question and change the correct answer. Okay, so this way we have made a quiz with 2 questions. Now I will say it's called quiz 1 theory. Suppose I wanted to change the name. So here you are, that name here, you can also edit that. So instead of this one, I will say it is actually a practice quiz 1. Okay. I can also change the description or edit the description. Also edit the instruction. Submit. Now it has changed to practice quiz 1. Now I can go to the end And I will find this test in the number of tests that I have here. So can we find it now? Practice quiz 1 theory. There it is. Okay, those quizzes that you create or exams, they will have a status, whether deployed or not deployed. So there are many with no, that means we have not used these quizzes before for any exams. There is something like this assignment and test. Therefore, this quiz has been used already in the assignment and test. So next thing to do now, once you have created your test here with the questions that you have added and you are happy with it, you would now like to deploy it to the student. So now we go to the top menu and you go to the assignment and test. As an instructor, you will see all the previous tests that you have done, but for students, they will not find them, except the ones that are scheduled and coming up. So we now want to schedule that practice quiz for our students. Where do we go? We go to assessment, we go to test, and now in the list, you will find your practice theory quiz. There it is. So we select it and we submit. It won't go to the students yet because you need to do the test options now. So we created the quiz or the test. We now putting it available for the students. So we have to schedule it. Okay, so we have now selected it. The next thing to do is to go through these options again. So is the description okay? Yes, it is okay. Is the instruction okay? Right. We need to now select and do these options. So when the students will take this test, before they begin, do you want to show the description? Yes. Do you want to show the instructions? Yes. Do you want to open the exam in a new window or the same window? I prefer it to open in the same window. Okay. Do you want the test to be available now? You can say yes or no. You can select yes or no. I will say yes. Do you want to give that as an announcement to your students? Okay, you can add an announcement that there's going to be a quiz. How many attempts are you going to give them for this quiz? So you can say, I want to give 2 attempts or 3 attempts. If you give 3 attempts, then what grade are you going to count? The last one, the highest one, the average grade, the first graded one, okay? Usually for an exam, we don't give them any chance. We give them only one chance. The chance to take the exam is only once. So I don't have to put anything here. This one is very important, force completion. So if the students are sitting all together in one room and you have got invigilators there, so you don't want student to start the exam here, close the browser and then start the exam in another room. Therefore, you can select this option here, force completion, meaning when you open the exam and you started it, you now have to complete it here and here on this, okay? It will not be available in a different place, okay? So you can select this force option. Or you can deselect it, saying, no, you can complete this exam at any time during the time that you're going to define. So the next option is, how long are you going to give for these 2 questions? So I can say only 2 minutes. And then once they have completed the 2 questions, do you want to take the exam from them if the time is up and time is finished? So you say auto submit. Some students, they forget to press the submit button. And they say, I finished, and he just leaves, or she just leaves the exam, right? So what will happen? Blackboard automatically, when the time is complete, will pull the exam from their attempt, and you will have a score for them. So in addition to making it available at the top, where we said make the exam available to students, when do you want to make it available? So you can say display after, display until. Okay, so you can define a time. So today's date is there. It's going to open at 5 o'clock. All right, and it's going to close at 4:59. So 1 hour is going to give them. So we want to change that, saying no, same time, but to finish at 4:10. Let's say 5:10. 5:10. So 5, and then change this to 10. Okay, and it will start from now. So in addition to the time, we can also say before you start, there's going to be a password. So define a password to start. That is very useful if you've got all the students in one place. People take different time to start on their computer. Somebody needs to start his computer. Somebody is already ready with his. So you can say everybody starts at the same time as soon as you give them the password. Okay. There are some other options here. You can restrict it to some location, and this will be given to you by the e-learning deanship to say it is available only on these computers in a certain room. It won't be available from home. We say no restriction at the moment. Availability exceptions. So sometimes you may have groups of students. You want to give it to them and not to give it to the other students. Okay. So you can define groups. We're not going to do that anything for now. The due date, at the moment, we already restricted by time, so we don't need to bother about due date. Would you like the grade to go in the grade center? Usually, yes. So it is already selected. Now, at the end of submission, do you want to show the score to the student or do you not want to show them? So there is a tick already. If you don't want to show, you should take this tick out. After submission, scores should not be shown, so it's out. If you want to show it, then you can say you can show all the answers, the correct answers, and the submitted answers. So student will get a sheet or a screen where they will see their attempt, whether they got it right, what is the correct answer after submitting the exam. Okay. So there are other options here also, one-time view, okay, after a certain date to be available. Okay, so we can play around with these settings. The last thing to do here is, if it's exactly like a paper exam, in a paper exam, you give students time, but there is only one attempt. During this time, you have to complete the 60 or 100 questions, and time allowed is 2 hours. So you can say exactly like that on an electronic exam, all questions to be shown on a screen. And if it's like a paper exam, then everybody gets the same copy. So you don't have to select randomized questions. Remember, creating the question, we are asking about randomizing the choices. Creating an exam and scheduling for the students, it is asking you, do you want to display all the questions for all students in the same manner, or do you want to randomize the whole question? So we say randomize. Okay. There is no facility to fix actually for every question. Every question doesn't have a time. In Blackboard simple exam, there is no fixed time for every question. There is a fixed time for the whole exam. Okay. So we saw in the settings, there is nothing like that. For the question, how long do you want to give? Okay, right. Instead of showing, since if you want to create a home exam for the students, okay, so you can make it a bit tighter and make it more strict, saying not all at once, one at a time, without going back. So you could have all the students at home, in their own homes, or maybe they're sitting together in some place. Then everyone will have a different question because you are randomizing. Everyone will have one question at a time. So they have to be busy with their own question. And then once they answer, they can only go forward. So we prohibit backtracking. All right. So now we have done a lot of settings. I'm going to remove the after submission. So no mark is given. I have now randomized. Okay. I just go through the same options. I've got a password to start, I've got a time, and I've got 2 minutes for the real exam. So a little bit about this time that you have here. The duration of the exam is 2 minutes, okay? But the exam actually is going to be available for about 10 minutes. Okay, I can even change that to say 15 minutes. So once you start, you have 2 minutes to finish. But you can start within this window here, 15 minutes. Okay? So I'm done. I say, okay, submit. Now I have a new exam prepared on the assignment and test, which you'll find right at the end here. So shall we just take this exam and then see where the scores are going? Okay. What you will find is that although in the quiz itself, you said don't show the answers, don't show the mark, you still will have to go to the grade center here and have a look at the column for that quiz, and you will need to hide that column as well. So if you go here, right at the end, you will see practice quiz. So you can go here and say hide from student view. Okay, hide from student view. So students will not be able to see the mark. So now the answer is hidden, but you will be able to see it because you are the instructor. All right, so now we have hidden. Now, if it's the only exam that you have, so remember there are also in the grade center a column for total and a column for total, weighted total. So if it's the only exam, if you hide the exam, they will still go to the total and it will show them their mark. So you need to hide that as well. Okay. Any way to interact with students during the exam? Well, you can open a chat window on WhatsApp and you could be chatting with them. Okay. Blackboard also offers a chat actually in the course. So let us deal with this simple exam and we take a small break and allow you to think about it. So now we are going to take the test, all right? So I am assuming that I am a student, so I can go to student view here. And as I'm a student, if I go to the test, I will only see those tests that are available to me now. So here is the test. I start, I've got the instructions here. I begin. Before I begin, I have to put in the password. Here is the exam now. So first question, only one question is randomly given to me. What is the capital city of Saudi Arabia? That's a difficult question. Then I go to, if I just wait here a few seconds, automatically the answer is saved. So you can tell your students, you don't have to click on save. You can just answer the question and go to the next question. Before you go to the next question, it will save the answer here. Okay, so I go to next question. I am seeing at the top also the status. So if I have 60, 70 questions, all of them will be lined up here. I know which I have answered. If I have prohibited them from going back, you won't be able to go back to the other question. Okay, so now the second question. Let me choose Khamis because this is a good distractor. Submit. And it will ask me, are you sure you want to submit? And if I had actually left a question blank, it will also tell me that certain question is still not answered yet. Okay. So if I say, okay, that is the test completed. All right. Now I can go to normal view. If I had opened it, now the student will already see in my grades what is the mark for that exam. All right. But I have not opened it, so they won't be able to see the mark. However, me as the instructor, I can go to the grade center, full grade center. And if I was a real student taking that exam, as you can see here, okay, there is a mark. So the mark would be there. If you want to see the attempt of the student, then you can go to the exam here and say attempt. And then you can recap and say what questions were wrong, what questions were right. So by this way, I think we take a small break now to ask some questions if you have. Let's say 10 minutes for questions. Then we go to the next part. Okay, I have a question from Dr. Shabir. Can a student change selected choice after saving? Sure. If you have, the way I presented this exam, I said, if you have question one by one with no going back, then he cannot change the answer to the previous question because he's already answered and he moved to the next choice. But if you have all the questions on one page, then they have the full time, the duration of the exam, to go and edit and change. Okay, so they will have a full chance to change their answer at any time. Dr. Shadma saying, I don't understand forced completion. Let me tell you about forced completion. Say you invited your student to a particular room, or maybe they are at home, but once they start the exam, or the quiz, now they have to finish it. If they left it, and if they close the window or close the computer, then that is their attempt already gone. They won't be able to take the exam. Even if the duration of the availability of this exam you gave 1 hour, the actual exam is only 2 minutes, but you opened it for 1 hour, they cannot go to another computer or even the same computer to actually do that same exam again because they already lost the attempt. All right, that's what forced completion means. They have to finish it once they open the exam. They cannot. If you take the forced completion out, I could say in the 20 question exam, I could do 10. Then I could close without submitting. Then I could go to the assignment and test again because the time of availability is still there. I will see the test. I will click on the same test. Now it will tell you, do you want to resume? I could be on another computer. Opening the same place, you will be able to resume. It will show you how many questions are already saved, and you still have the time to do these questions again, or complete and then submit. Once you submit, you don't have a chance. Is it necessary to give a password as we are already selecting starting time? Yes, because assume that you are in one room where you have a lot of students. There are 50, 100 students there. Some of them are already on that screen. If there is no password and the time has already started, they will start their exam. Whereas another student, he has a problem with his password, or he has problem with starting this computer. He needs to move to another place. So these students, they will start panicking, saying, oh, my colleague already started. I have not started. Is my time running out? Okay. So therefore, I would prefer everybody sit down, come on this Blackboard screen where the exam is, come on the page where you are required to put a password. Now you declare the password, and then everybody will be starting at the same time. Okay. How to add image to a stem of the question? Already, Dr. Himali, I said, when you are in a question, so if you are still seeing my screen, if I go to the test, quickly open a question for you. So here is a test, and let's say the practice quiz was here, and edit. So now I'm going to edit this question. Here is edit question. And at the place of the stem, which was here, so either before or after, I can now select this menu here, or this button here, insert, edit image. And you can put an image here. Then you can, let's see if I have an image quickly. So from my computer, I can go to pictures. I can look up some Here's a screenshot, for example. Okay, open. And then insert. Okay, so now you can see that this question, wherever it is, before there is a question and now there is below it a picture. You save that, this picture will belong to this question. Okay.
Dr. Ayub?
Yeah.
Please, there is an icon of Q&A, which is question and answer. Would you please check them? Because there is an important questions that I feel you need to answer.
Okay. Shadma question already I answered. Anonymous, can you kindly show us if I have question pool, how can I export it to another section? As I said at the beginning, I'm describing a simple exam for the moment. We are going to give a small break, like 5 minutes, and then I'm going to talk about pooled exams. So I'll answer your question there. Suppose there is internet disruption during the test. Will that affect the test time? Now, if there is a disturbance in the internet, suppose they lost the internet connection, they will have to start and gain internet connection. And as long as you did not use forced completion, they will be able to resume and they will have the time left for that exam. Okay, so that is answering your question. How can I change points? You mean the grade for each or the score for each? That way you can say, now at the moment I'm on a screen where there is a question being displayed. Okay, you see where the questions are now? So if I wanted to change this one question only and saying this one question instead of 1 mark, I would like to give 0.5. So I can change it from here. On the right hand side, I can say instead of 1, you will have only half a mark. Submit. Now the whole exam will be changed. Instead of 2 marks, you'll have 1.5. Okay, what else? What is the mechanism, or are there any make sure students don't indulge in cheating? Well, Mr. Dr. Murshid, if you are doing an exam from home, how are you going to see that they are not cheating? If you are doing an exam in a controlled room and you have got 5 or 6 invigilators, that is the way you control the paper exam. In the same way you control the electronic exam. Bring them to one place. If they are going to be doing the exams from home, then I suggest you use this policy. A pool of questions, like 100 questions, and at the time of the exam, you are going to give only 1 question or only 10 questions from that pool. So everybody will have a different question. Once they answer, they cannot go back to change the answer. The other way, maybe you can open the camera and you can watch the student doing the exam by Skype or by another way, or you can have some way of invigilating. All right. So if it's home, there is no mechanism for stopping the cheating except to make it difficult for them. Okay. During an exam, the students can access the course material if they do it from their homes. So it will be an open book exam, right? Dr. Javed, yes. If you are going to open things or leave things open on your Blackboard course, of course, from home, it will be like an open book exam. So I wouldn't commit a lot of marks to an exam like that, except to use open book exam for teaching students how to find the answers or how to revise or where to find the information. So maybe I will do an exam for students from home, but I will not give them a direct question from the muzakkirat, from the handout. Otherwise, everybody will answer and they get full mark. I will make the question a bit more challenging and let the student try to find the answer. It may be in the book, it may be on the internet, it may be certain reference that you have, some reference paper. So you can make a home open book exam in such a way that it's actually a bit of challenge for them. This way they will be, and because you are giving a mark, so all students will attempt to find the answer. By this way, they will have answered questions. Dr. Mohsin, how can we deal with the issue of impersonification? Yes, so somebody else might be taking the exam, right? So, well, you can voice chat with them on another program, for example, on Skype. So make sure that it's the right student doing the exam. If it's home, it will not be, you will not be able to know whether the same student is doing the exam or he has given his username password to someone else. But there are ways where you can stop these things. You may give your students some strong warnings that, look, if you are found, and we may call you randomly, or we may want you to come with the camera open during the exam on your laptop. So we want, if there is any misuse or abuse, you will be penalized. Okay. Is it okay to allow backtrack for students but randomized question? Yes, you can take the backtrack out, prohibit from backtracking out. They will be able to go forward and backwards. Where I would say this is useful is when you are giving all questions on one page. Students may be able to highlight all these questions and take all your questions into another program or email themselves. All right. So rather than doing that, you give one question at a time, but it's a bit unfair not to allow them during the time of the exam to revise their answer for the previous question. So you remove the backtracking and let them to go one question at a time, but they can go back to the other question. Dr. Adil, how can I get a copy of the recorded materials of this class? Inshallah, the e-learning deanship will tell you. Why can't we start and finish tests same time for all? That's what you are doing when you are defining the time. Why can't we start and finish tests same time for all? The option the Blackboard gives you is availability time and a start time and the duration time. So by these three ways, you are controlling the time of start and finish. Suppose I have an exam that I said, this exam takes 15 minutes. But 15 minutes is starting when you put the password in. Okay? And I can say that the availability of this exam is only in the first 2 minutes. So if you come late, you will not find it. See, so this way you are actually doing a control of your test. Usually what we are doing is as what you are saying, we start and finish at the same time. As soon as you finish your 15 minutes, you submit, everybody's finished. Dr. Grant, how can a teacher get all student marks as a single report? From the grade center, you can download the grade center itself. So if you are looking at my screen here, if you go to the grade center, this is the full grade center. Okay, now you can actually download all the marks of your students from this grade center by selecting this work offline. Work offline, you download. Either you can define one column, like say the total column for this exam, and submit. You will get an Excel sheet or a file that you can open in Excel with the names of the students and all the marks for this exam. Or you can download the whole grade center itself. Okay. Password is used to a home exam. Somebody is asking, open book exam will not allow real valid alignment with learning objectives. Why not? You know the learning objectives themselves. You have defined it in your course specification. So it's up to you. If you give the question according to the objective of the student learning outcome, then they will be answering that question. Why would it be not aligned? Alignment is the teacher's job to make sure that you are giving challenging questions even from home, even from open book, to get them to find the answer in a limited time. Okay, if they are not prepared or they don't know where to look for the answer, they will not answer. Up to you. Okay, thanks, dear. They did screenshot of all pool questions. Yes, okay. Preventing cheating from home is going to be difficult. All right. Yes, whenever you give them question, they have mobile phones now. They will take photos. But you make your pool bigger and bigger. So every time you have new questions. Okay, don't reuse the same questions for home exams for different groups because they will pass it to each other. So the exercise for home exam, I think, open book exam, is for the sake of teaching students how to find answers, not really to grade, because they will get high marks because they try to share the answers with each other by photographing. So that's not the objective. Yes, we are now in a crisis situation where we might have to resort to some sort of a home exam, but we can control it as we like. Okay, Dr. Javed finished. Dr. Ismail talking about cheating prevention is not feasible in home exam. Exactly, yes, I would agree with you. But you can make it difficult and you can try to see some way of actually checking, is it the right student who is doing the exam? If presentation you selected 2 minutes, is that option for one question or for the whole? It's for the whole duration of the 2 questions. So you are not selecting per question what is the time. Dr. Bashir, can we embed other website links for students to find answers in an open book? Sure, there is a, in the setting of the STEM, you will see you can add links and you can send them to a Google page or a web page. Dr. Sami, what to do if I don't like to include the results in the grade center? Administration requires you at the end of any formal quizzes to put the answers, put the grades there. So we have to do it by administration rules. If you don't want to show them, you can hide the marks from students. But hide everything, hide the total, the weighted total, and the test itself. Can we now stop questions and go to the next part? The next part I want to show you. It's now 5:30, so we have 1 hour left. In the next hour, what I want to show you is how to do an exam where you have a bank of questions, but every student is going to get randomly 10 or 5 questions from that pool. Okay, so that's what we want to do on the next task. We have done a simple exam. We know how to create it. We know how to deploy it. We know how to see the marks. We know also how to see the attempt of the student. Before I do that, I want to show you that a student may say to you that I want to see my attempt and I don't believe the score that I have got. So can you see my screen now? I'm on the grade center. And just ignore, don't look at the names, but say in this exam here, this student, I can go to his attempt. And now it's telling me, so what wrong answers he gave. And also in the test information, there is something called the access log. So what time did he start? How long did he take for each question? When did he start? Sometimes when did he change? For example, look at this question here. He 22 multiple times over a period of 20 seconds, he changed the answer until he was happy that this is the right answer. So there is a Blackboard test keeps a record of all movements of the student during a test. Here is question 7 was multiply saved over a period of half a minute. So he may have gone back to question number 7 and thought about it and changed his answer many times. All right, so the access log is there. Some other questions we can answer later, right? Well, how about making a test where we do a pooled exam? So a pool is where you keep a lot of questions. So let me show you. I won't create another new pool, but I'll just show you one of my pools. So I go to pools and you see I've got many pools here. So let us see here, enzymes MCQ pool, and that has got 30 questions. Okay. So let's say I want to give my students a small test in which every student will get only 3 questions from this pool. And they have to complete these 3 questions from this pool. So I already have a pool here. If I want to make a new pool, I would say build the pool. And after that is just like the exam that you, creation of the simple exam that we had. You make another test, you're putting a lot of questions inside. So this is actually a test with 30 or 10 or 25 questions, but I call them pools. Why? Because in the real test, I want to use this pool and select only a few questions from that pool to give to every student. Okay, so we have pool here. Let's just have a look at the pool, edit. And here is just like the exam that you had before or created exam test before. There are 30 questions. For each question, I have defined to be a 0.1 mark. Here are the questions. Okay. There are some questions which are, most of them are multiple choice, but also I have here, look, true, false question. Okay. So this is how you select the type of the questions. All of them are worth 0.1. You can increase 1 mark or another mark for certain questions. This is a pool of some questions. Okay, we are going to use this pool to create another test. So we go out from here and go back to test, surveys, and pools. You go test. In the test, I will build now a new test. I will give, say, this is enzymes quiz. And I'll say in this quiz, there are 5 questions randomly selected from a bank of questions. Okay, the instruction is answer each question by selecting one option. Okay, submit. So I have now a new canvas. I've got an enzyme quiz. At the moment, there are no questions. Previously, when we created the quiz, we said create question and we selected the type of question we want. Now we want to reuse the question. And we want actually to create a random block. Okay, so we can create a random block. Here now, the screen is showing me all my questions that I have from many, many years of collecting questions. Okay, so I'm saying I want all pool questions. Okay, or I say no, I want it from the pool which was called the enzyme questions. So here is the enzyme multiple choice pool. So first you select the pool, then you select all the questions. Okay, so there may be in the pool some questions that are multiple choice, some questions that are true, false, multiple answer, many different type of questions might be there in the pool. So I'm saying select all the questions that are available in this, and then I submit. Now, this is very important. So it's telling me the test that I'm creating is going to use a random block, a pool that has 30 questions, and I now define here for each student, he should be displaying only 5 questions from that pool, randomly selected from this 30. Okay, and then I say also I can define how many marks, so you can submit now. So 5 questions will be selected from the 30 for each student randomly. And then for the actual exam, since there are 5, so point per question, I will change from the default 10 to say 0.1. So 5 questions will give him half a mark. Here you are. 5 questions selected from a pool of 35. So this was called enzyme quiz. So I better just change the name, otherwise I'll get mixed up. I will put practice again. Practice pool enzyme quiz. Okay, submit. And then finally also I submit. Now I have to put this in the assignment and tests. So I go again, assessment, test, and now I will find here practice pool enzyme question quiz. Submit. And as soon as I submit, now I have to define the time and the password. If you are doing it from home, password is not really important, but say, okay, I want to show the instruction, description, make it available. No need to give announcement. I may say, I want to give you 3 attempts. So each attempt will be a randomly selected 5 questions from that pool. It won't be the same 5 questions every time. Okay. And then if you do 3 times, I can say I'll give you the highest grade. Okay. Force completion, I'm not going to use. Timer, I'm saying 5 questions, so I'll give you 5 minutes. Okay. And automatically submit. Then the time I'm going to define. So now it's 5:38. Go until, let's say, 5:50. I can define a password. No restrictions. Include it in the grade center. Don't show the answers. Okay. Since they are doing it for 3 attempts, every attempt, if they know what the score is, they may not do the second attempt. Right? So I will submit. And now we're ready for a pooled exam. I just take a short break here. Now just have a look at the questions that are coming in. Did we have an experience with home exams in the final previously in KKU? In the finals, I don't think anybody did final exam with home. But I have home quizzes which are worth 1 mark. I give it for continuous assessment. Sometimes I give only 2 marks for a semester. They will get 2 home quizzes or home exam. As far as final exam, I don't think we have any experience who did a final exam from home. Dr. Walid Maqsood, I missed how to choose the random block. Can you show it again, please? Okay, we can do that in a minute. Let me see another question. How can we make a pool? Okay, I'm going to explain that. So we can answer both of you at the same time. Can we use questions from the 2 pools? Yes, you can. So you'll create 2 blocks. 1 block for 1 pool, another block in the same exam for another block. What is the standard time allowed for 1 question? 1 minute or 2 minutes? Discuss that with your chairman and with your department. It depends which level of students you have. Okay. Let's just stop the questions in a minute. So somebody said, how do I do the pool and questions in the pool? So let's do that first before we actually do this pooled quiz that we just set up. So I go to tests, surveys, and pools. I've got 3 options: tests, surveys, pools. I go to pools. I make a new pool. New pool is just like making another exam. All right. In this pool, you can put all the questions that you want. So description, instruction first. After you've done the description instructions, you will say I've got a pool here. So let's have a look at this 35 question home quiz 1 in 2015. If you look at it, edit, it's the same menu as when you were creating a test. 35 questions, each with a question. So if I wanted to add a new question, I can do it from here. Okay. Or I can say find some other questions from another pool. All right. And we can add those questions to this pool. I can also upload question, but I'll do that in a in another half an hour when I will say to you, if you already have got questions that are made up in Microsoft Word, big, massive bank of questions that you've already done in Microsoft Word, how can you bring all those questions in one go to make your pool on the Blackboard? So I'll do that later on. So at the moment, this is a new pool. You can select questions from previous pools, or you can create new questions, right? So I'm showing you a pool of questions, 35 questions. Here they are. Each one I can edit. I can even add more questions to this one. Once you have done this, so when you are creating the test, now that you have selected the pool, you want to put some of these questions in the test. So I go back to tests, surveys, and pools. I go to test. I make a new test because in the new test, I want to put the question for that block. But I can show you the test that I already created. That's the last one here. And let's say I want to add some more questions from another block. All right. So here's one block already. Yes. So one block is there with 30 MCQs or 30 questions from a pool. And I'm only going to use for every student 5 out of the 30. Suppose I want to add another one. So you can say reuse question, create random block. So this is a second block you are creating, which will come after this one, or you can make it before the present one. So I create a random block. I say I want a pool with the home quiz here, this one. So I selected my pool. After that, I say this pool may have MCQs, true, false, fill in blank, or different questions. So I can select each one, only the multiple choice, for example, here. So these 35 questions, they are multiple choice, only they will be used. Or I can say all the questions in that pool, right? And they're displayed for me here. I submit. Now I have another block. First block we already had. The second block now is saying 35 questions. Okay, select 5 questions from this one also, or just 2 questions, you can say every time. And then submit. And you define the mark that you want for these questions. So you can say 0.1 also. And submit. Now, if we go back to the same test which we have done, now you will find that there are 2 blocks. 1 to 5, they will come from the enzyme pool. 6 to 7, they will come from the home quiz 1 pool. Okay, so we've done that. Now we say okay. Let us see the actual test. Go here. So because this test is already defining where the questions are coming from, you can leave this exam, this one here, all the time, but keep changing the questions that you have in the pool, or keep adding more and more questions. So you will have different exams for different students all the time. So let's take this exam now, practice pool exam. There are 5 questions, but we need to change that because we added 2 more questions. Begin. And you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think I had as the password. So now there are 7 questions, as we said. These 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are coming from the enzyme, and the 6 and 7 are coming from another pool, which is pH water buffer. And you have noticed something here, question that I have used here. Look, match. So this is a matching question, unlike true false, which is below that. And here this is a 3 choice multiple choice. So I can answer each one, and also here you can match, saying how does it match? Does this competitive inhibition match with what, ABC? And you have to select it. All right. So now I have shown you how to create a test where we are using randomly certain questions from a defined pool. I'll stop here and I'll have a look at the questions that people are asking. How to create column matching? Sorry, I don't understand which column you are talking about. Muhammad Sahar, how can we select different types of questions? Multiple choice, true, false, like. I have already shown you that from the pool. Muhammad Jalaluddin, how can we delete the prepared exam test? Oh, okay, so you can delete it by, let me just get out of this exam. Either you can delete it from here, so where the tests are shown. Okay, let's see if the delete option is here. So this practice quiz. There is delete there. You can delete it from here. Or you can go to where you are saving all your tests. Or most of the tests are being saved in the test surveys and pools. And you can delete it from here. Okay, so there is delete here. You can also download this quiz. So local computer, if you want to use this same quiz for another group of students who are not in this section. So this is 1719 section. But I want to give the other student the same test. So you can download it from here, go to the other course and upload it to that, like by importing test here. All right, so that's answering some questions. How to use the same pool for multiple sections? So I just said, do the test creation in one of the block, one of the section. The other sections, you download the test to your computer. As I said from here, for example, look, this was what you're seeing here. There is a pool, isn't there? There is this pool here. So I'm going to copy this pool, export to local computer. So it will now download to my computer. There it is. It's a zip file. Then I go to another window and open the second section. And in the same place, I now import it. So I use this one to import. Show this file. Now you'll have the test here. Don't worry. If it's a pooled exam, when you copy the test like this, the pool also goes with it to the second section. You don't have to manually go and create another pool there or copy the pool there. So as soon as you have this pooled test that you made here, downloaded as a zip file, when you go to the other section, it will go, the pool will go with it also. It will be called imported pool. All right. What else? Another question. Is it possible for other instructors within the same course to access the pool that I built? Of course, all instructors, like the coordinator, have the same right. So they can be adding to the same pool, or they can be viewing the same pool. They can also check these questions. One advantage of that is the instructors that you have in a course. If all of them have been teaching different part of the course, then they could be adding their questions rather than giving to you as the coordinator on paper or on a Word file, and then you having to add to the pool. You can give them the experience and the responsibility. Go to the pool that I have created and add your questions there. All right, so you can give them. Can Mr. Rifat Anwar, can you explain to me what you mean by how to create column matching? Or you mean matching question? Mr. Suhail, is there any way to randomize the questions with restrictions of few questions to be in the same order? Because sometimes question 2, question 3 may require information from question 1. Right, so I see what you mean. Maybe sometime you want some information in the stem, but then that's information to be used for 3 questions. So what I suggest you do in the Blackboard is that you create a stem and write all the information there. Create your first question. Then the other questions, if they need the same information, in the second question creation, you put all the information again. So the information will be repeated 3 times, but the question will be different. Dr. Himali is saying Blackboard maintains data for 1 year. Who says? They maintain all your data for all the time. Okay, it may be available in the old Blackboard. It may be at the moment showing you only 1 year, so 2 semesters. But you can still go to the other old Blackboard and see your pools from the other places. What I suggest you do, if you are fearing that your pools may disappear or may be hidden from you, I'm sure they're not going to delete because everything is being archived and saved. All right. So for you, you should take a download copies of your pools on your own computer. So for your safety, and then you have all your pool questions with your computer. If I have 2 groups, how can I share the quiz to the other group? We've already answered that. You copy from one and schedule the same quiz for the same option, same time for the other group. Please, it's very much if you one can copy and paste my question above to Dr. Ayub. Send question is not working in my phone. Okay. Which is that way? Would you please repeat how to use availability of questions? We will send. Yes, sometimes this is confusing because people don't know what is the difference between availability and the duration of the exam. So let me give you an example. We have a test for boys and girls. Boys will be in Kreger, girls will be in Samir. The time of the exam is same. Okay, 9 o'clock in the morning, both exams starting. I have a password to begin. So password will be given to the students at the time, right? I say that the exam will start from 9 o'clock and we have 1 hour for the exam for 10 questions. But actually, the 10 questions will not take more than 15 minutes to answer. Or if you have 20 questions, not more than half an hour to answer. But what I want to make sure is that in the first 5 minutes, the students will see it in their Blackboard. If someone is late by 5 minutes, although the other students are still busy with their half an hour or the duration that they have been given for the exam, these students who come late, they will not find the exam available in their Blackboard because you made it available only for 5 minutes. So the duration of the exam is half an hour, but the availability is only 5 minutes. Why this is a good way? Because look, if I do my home exams for the students, I know many of them may be sitting together. So I randomize so everybody will have a different questions, okay? Some students, they will wait for the other student to finish, thinking that if I see their questions, I will also get the same questions when I do my attempt. And then I will not, although Dr. Ayub said from 9 to 10, so I won't start at 9 o'clock, I'll start at 9:30. By 9:30, some student will have already finished. They will already have taken pictures of the questions, right? So what I can do is say, okay, look, although you have 1 hour to complete this exam, I want you to start, all of you, between 9 and 9:10, and 10 minutes only. Within 10 minutes, everybody must start. If you delay after 9:10 or after 10 past 9, when you go to your Blackboard and you try to do the test won't be there anymore. So you lost your chance. Okay, so that's the difference between availability and, so this is how you can control. So all students will be starting at the same time. All right, and if those who are late, possibly they are waiting for the other students to finish, right? So by using randomizing by using pools, good advantage that students will get different questions from the pool. Not everybody will get the same question. And by making the availability time controlled with password, students who are playing around and they are waiting to see the answers of the others, they will lose their chance to start the exam. So you can also, during the exam, you can go into the test option. So for example, if I have a test here, while this test is going on, I can play around with edit test options. And I can go in, even though everybody is busy doing their exam, I can go and change the answer, change the password here. So first 10 minutes, they had one password. After 10 minutes, now I changed it to another password. So there is a risk sometimes that students will be saying, in most of them in a classroom with you doing the exam, but somebody has hidden a mobile phone with him in his pocket, and he knows that his friend is at home, because we had no restriction about the exam, where we said exam can take place as long as you can go to the Blackboard. So he may text his friend with the password, and he could be doing the exam from home, whereas the rest of the people are in a room under invigilation, under supervision. So you will change the password within 5 minutes. Then now he will need another password to start. So he will run to your exam to come to the class. Any other question? Yes, there are 4 more questions. Okay. Can we set specific number of MCQs and true or false? Suppose we need 3 MCQs and 2 false. Okay, so for that one, you'll have to make different pools then. One pool with MCQs, one pool with true false. Then the block that you use in the quiz, you can create, you can select so many MCQs and so many true false. Muhammad, pool option may create difficulty problem. How can we solve it? Right, well, the pools that you are making, make sure it is of the same difficulty. If you have certain questions that are difficult, certain questions that are easy, I suggest you make different pools. So this pool is with the easy questions. This pool is for, so it's the same topic, but the questions will be certain number of difficult questions, certain number of easy questions, certain number of moderate questions. So make different pools. Then in those pools, you put blocks again in your exam, randomly selecting certain difficult questions, certain easy questions, certain moderate questions. How can we do computer science practical exam? Practical exam, what do you show? Some of the exams that I have seen, they are called practical, but they are actually showing pictures. They are actually showing pictures. So in an OSCE exam, saying for ophthalmology or for practical biochemistry, safety exam, we call it, it's a practical exam, but it's actually an MCQ theory exam, because every question has got a picture. Hazardous signs, sign of a pipette, sign of a pH meter, sign of something, and then you ask your question. So that way you can do a computer science practical exam. If it's practical, you cannot do it electronically. Okay, so you'll have to, if you want, for example, say, okay, you need to do a skill with your hands, do something, calculate the answer, then give him an iPad and say, okay, answer the question on the iPad. So the answer will go as an MCQ, but actual experiment, he'll have to do it by hand. There is no replacement for a real skill determining exam or a history, how the student is examining a patient. He has to do it himself. That cannot be done in an electronic way. Any assessment suggestion for practical exams? No, sorry, I don't have any suggestion for that. You have to define it in your own department. How do you assess? How can we create subjective type questions? I define, explain, etc. Is it possible to do marking of subjective type question automatically like objective type questions? Dr. Muhammad Akram, you can answer yourself. Yani if you say this question requires you to explain and the student has to write a paragraph, there's no way a computer can mark that, right? You'll have to go back. See, if you create certain questions like that, sure, you can create them in the Blackboard exam. If you have some MCQs, those answers are already 0 or 1, okay, or 0.1, whatever mark you give. The explanation or a definition type of questions, the instructor after the exam will have to go, and you will find in the grade center it says this quiz needs grading. You open that, you then do the manual marking of the paragraph that the student has written, then you add a mark in the system. Now that, so it cannot be automatic, it has to be done in a manual way. But you can still do it electronically. So electronically, the student will answer. There is another problem that happens here. When you ask for definition, when you ask for a word to be written, frequently our students' English is not so up to the level. They may be saying the right answer, but spelling it in a different way. So yes, you can define the correct answer, saying this is conclusion or constriction or something like that, but he may spell it in 1,000 different ways. So you will have to go manually to say, does he mean what he is trying to say, what he has spelled? So these questions, they cannot be marked automatically. You will have to go and grade it. If the questions are different, it should be at the same level and even topics. Blueprint, isn't it? Sure, Dr. Asim. Make your pools and your questions aligned with your blueprint. If your topic is certain and in that topic you have difficulty level, then make different pools for each type of questions that you want to define in a blueprint. What Blackboard test will allow you to do is to select, if you have them in different pools, saying this exam, it should have 5 very difficult questions, 10 very easy questions, some moderate questions. They should be from this topic and this topic and this topic according to your blueprint. Okay, so this is a challenge for you now to make a quiz or an exam that fulfills your blueprint requirement and also aligned with your student learning objectives. Another question, how can we upload questions from an already saved in our desktop? Very good question, Dr. Muhammad. Let's just continue with questions for the 5 minutes, and then the last 20 minutes I talk about how to import questions that you already have made in a Word file. Okay. Another question, how to create. What is the proposed solution for technical problems during exam? Can the system detect it? You will see the attempt of the student after he has finished, and suppose the system has crashed or has hanged. When you look at the attempt, you will see that the student started on time. He answered some question. Now the rest of the questions that were there in that quiz, you will see answer not given, answer not given, answer not given. And then you look at the access log, tell you how much time he spent on this question. By this, you will get an idea. Is it really a computer problem or hanging problem? You have already told them that there is a solution. If your computer has hanged during the availability time, you can close your computer, start again, and resume that same test. Don't wait until the computer has allowed you to pass the availability time. So during the exam, you should, if you face a crash, we didn't, remember we closed the forced completion. We did not choose that. Forced completion is taken out by our choice. So the students can actually start the exam again. If it's hanged, you will know when it hanged or when it was internet connection was lost. Students can do screenshots of all questions and share with each other. How to avoid that? You tell me, Dr. Haytham, how to avoid question, screenshot taking. It's difficult. Again, import pool. Again, import pool. Can we use the e-learning exam for Sunday 8 a.m. quizzes or the coming finals? Thank you. I don't know about, see, at the moment, no, in the medical college, decision has not been taken. So take it as no for an answer. No exams electronically to be conducted at the present moment. Okay, this is for the medical college. College of Medicine, they will give a declaration or give us instructions very soon whether we should be able to do electronic exams or not. Please give me more details about how to import tests. I've already answered that. Importing tests, meaning that you already went to your test created pools here. So there were tests, for example, here. So with each test, we can export to local computer. So it will come down as a zip file, I said to you. Now you go to your second course or another course, even it could be another Blackboard course altogether. You can go again to the same place, and now the exported quiz that you did on your computer, now you press this one here, import test, and bring it here, and then schedule it for the how to create mathematical questions where the answer may vary in some range. Dr. Paul, it's a challenge for you. If you can do it, please let us know how you do it. Mathematical questions, you have some way as a formula, and then ask the student to use the formula to calculate the answer. You as a teacher know the answer, so you can give it as an MCQ. If you want the student, for example, in my course, if I say, explain how to derive the Henderson-Hasselbalch equation. So I will make that question into a short essay or a short answer question. And I'll have to mark that manually later on. So the mark will not come automatically for a question like that. I think I can, that's so, maybe I answered your question. Mathematical question with some range, right? So the range, you can define it as your choices, saying this, the question is between so and so. I'll give you an example. The pH of the acidity of stomach juice can be anything between 3 and 5 value, okay? So I can give in the answer the range. So is it between 3 and 5? Is it between 8 and 10? Okay, like that. So that may be a solution how to get a range of answers that are correct. My question is, but I want to ask if this video recording is available on YouTube for further reference. Dr. Altaf, you'll have to contact the e-learning deanship. I think they are recording and they will be making the recording available to you.
Excuse me, doctor. Yes, we are recording this video and will be sent later to all.
Fantastic. Any other questions? Yes, there are some more Q&A. 1 minute to answer some other questions. Dr. Iram, can we give fill in blank type of questions in the pool? Yes, the same choices are there in the pool as well. Questions type, you have seen, for example, here there is a pool, okay, or there is a test. If I say I want to edit it, create questions shows you the different type of questions there. Fill in blank is there. There it is. Fill in the blank. But have a practice at it first so you know exactly what's happening. Fill in the blank. If you are saying they have to write a word, bear in mind there are different ways to spell that word. Okay, so you'll have to define what is correct and what is acceptable. Some of our staff, they say you have to get, if it's a home exam and you've given a blank, fill in a blank question, there is no, you have to get the spelling correct. If it was a controlled, invigilated exam, maybe you can say, okay, well, I will allow if there is a slight mistake in the spelling. So you need to be aware of that one. So any question, even in the pools, you can use the different type of questions to add. Please explain how to upload questions. Okay, now I'm going to that one and we passed it. So last 20 minutes or last 15 minutes, I will consider how actually to upload your questions from an already Word file that you have prepared. Okay, so let's go. I'll not look at your questions just now. I'm going to say, okay, I want to. So in any quiz that you have made or that you are making, this option is there. Can you see on the screen, upload questions? Just one person can answer, please, on the chat. Can you see upload questions? I'm on a test canvas and there are create question, reuse question, and upload question. Yes, so you can see, right? So we are going to use this tool here, upload questions. If I just say to this quiz that I have opened here, I want to add questions that are already prepared. So what we need to know first is that if your questions are in Word, everybody have their own style. Some people, they write question one and a full word question, and then number one, then they'll put the question. Then in the choices, they may use A dash or A dot or B bracket. So all sorts of formats are given in the Word file, right? So in order for you to pull the question into Blackboard, we need to make sure that the questions are done in a file which is going to be recognized by Blackboard and pull all the questions together. All right. So how to do that? Let me show you now. What we need to do is, if I open a Word file, we need basically to copy all the questions from Word. So there may be some questions here. So I'm just going to copy some questions from here, okay? Then I'll come to the other screen. So I've copied from Word and I've gone to there. Now you can see my screen. I'm just going to open another window here. Write in Google Blackboard test converters and you will see Blackboard test generator. Okay, Blackboard test generator is here. Some universities have actually given you a template saying make sure the file is in this format. You can use the Blackboard test generator like Algonquin, and it allows this sort of questions here: multiple choice, multiple answer, true, false. Right? Mainly our questions might be all MCQs. So we copy all the questions from there. I was actually looking for another type of Blackboard test. Yes, this one here, North Institute. Blackboard test generator, North Institute. They will give you Oklahoma Christian University. You need to paste your questions here. So I will, now I have my questions here. I'll give it a name saying test MCQ. Now read this information at the top. It's telling you, and I just describe it to you. Every question must start with a number. So 1 dot and then there's a question. Of course, in the cut and paste, you will not have any pictures here. You cannot bring the pictures. You'll have to add, if there is a picture with the question in the Blackboard later on. But say we have these questions here. So they want between each question, there should be one space free. Okay. And then each question without any space should have the 4 options, and the correct answer should have a star in front. So if you can make a file like this, now I've got 3 questions here. They are on the format that is required by the basic information. Each question should have a number starting 1 dot, not 1 dash, 1 dot, then ABCD with a star in front of the correct answer. Go to the bottom, generate test question. It's telling you successful. If it has failed, something in a different color will come up here. So you forgot to say maybe add a star to the correct answer. If you've done that, you put the star here, editing live on this form. Now you say download test questions. So once you are happy that 70, 80 questions that are in this file here, all of them are in the right format required, it will now be able to download for you. Now that will be a text file, okay, with the name that you gave here, test MCQs. Now you go to your Blackboard, you go to the upload questions, and now you browse for that file. So it's a browse, and it will be in my downloads, and it was called MCQ something. There it is, test MCQ, open. It's come here. I can at the moment define saying instead of default 10 question, I want only 1 mark per question. I submit. And now it has added these questions to the same random block. So I'll find it at the bottom. All right, there are three questions that are already there. What do you notice here? That the question has been imported with the correct answer, but I don't have now the ABCD. They've disappeared. ABCD disappeared in all 3. So I need to go, if it's a small number of questions, like 3 or 4 that I imported just now, I can go and edit and do my options that I need. So for example, I can change to ABCD and also randomize. I think some of you will ask me saying, okay, I got 70 or 100 questions that I imported. How do I have to go for each question to go and select ABCD and random? At the moment, the answer is yes, you have to go one by one. But if you contact me privately, there is a technical way by which you can automate and get your 100 or 200 questions that you have imported in this pool by importing. In one go, you can shuffle all of them, so you will have random order. And in one go, you can define ABCD for all the questions. So that gives you now the ability now to import questions from a Word file using a template that is given to you by some website like this one here for Blackboard test generator. Okay, so I will stop there, and now the last 10 minutes, I think it's for question and answers. I'll look at some questions here. If there is a question which requires students need to make diagram to answer the question, is it possible that students make diagram or on paper by hand, take a photo and upload as answer to that question? Make that question, Dr. Muhammad Akram, as a short answer question. They can upload a small picture with a paragraph of writing, then you'll need to answer it by yourself. Is there a way to analyze the electronic exam? Yes, I think I should explain something about that because it's part of the objectives of this webinar to show you also what you can benefit from the taken exam. So I just close here, go back to Blackboard, and let's look at an exam that I have done before. So here we are. For every exam that you have done for the students, you can go to the quiz itself or the exam itself, and you will see in the options item analysis. Item analysis will now give you, either you can run it fresh or you have already done it before. So I've done it when the exam was taken. If I open that one, it tells you that the exam was taken by so many students. The average mark is that one. The average time taken is 37 minutes. Now this is your information that is required by in our college medical education department. How many of your questions were good questions? They were able to discriminate between high performers and low performers, or good students and poor students. So out of the 32 questions that I had, my exam says that 21, and probably you can combine with the 9, 30 questions were good, 2 are poor. By poor, it means they were so easy, everybody answered them. When you go to the difficulty side, you can see the questions in this exam performed with this group of students in this course in a way that is described here. 3 were easy questions. Probably these are the 2 questions or 3 questions that are poor here on the discrimination. Then 27 of them were medium and 2 were hard questions. What I would suggest is, for the hard questions, please go and check. Sometimes the mistake is from our side, that we define the wrong key. Okay, so please check the hard questions and also check if they've got too many easy questions. Next time, make these questions a bit challenging, a bit difficult. Okay, so this is how to analyze the exam. So you can see the performance of the student. You can also see, for example, this hard question here, 2 hard questions. It means the difficulty was less than 30. So let us find the difficulty here. Here's one question. What type of immunoglobulins contain delta H chain? If I look at it, now, if I had given the wrong answer, I would know, but I know that this question is easy for the students, the way our teachers have taught them, and they should know that the correct answer is IgD, right? But only 5 out of the good group, okay, the students, they got it. So only 20% of your whole group got it right. Everybody else is going all over the place. So what you can learn from this is that all the options are functioning. They are distracting the students. They are challenging for them. More than 5% are going for each choice. The correct answer has got very few students. Probably you need to go and ask the person who gave this question, are you sure that the answer is IgD and not IgG? If he said no, the correct answer is IgG, then what you need to do is go to the test that has already been taken, edit, and then you will see that the scores automatically will be updated and regraded. So I have shown you the analysis. Also, I have shown you the performance of the students. And I have also shown you, if you had made the mistake of choosing the wrong answer, how Blackboard is allowing you, for example, this exam that we just did for my students, say, I will go to the edit the test. And you see there is a warning at the top that this exam has been taken by so many students. If you change the answer, their marks will change. But you are sure that certain question had a wrong answer, so you can go to it. If I can find it. This is the question. I can edit, and at the bottom it will say to you, submit and update attempts. So it will regrade depending on what you have done, and the results will automatically change. Okay, so I've shown you the analysis. I've shown you where we could be wrong and not the students. I've shown you the performance. Are there any more questions? The last 5 minutes. How to create column matching? I still don't know what, Rifat, what you are asking. Column matching. Any more questions? Sir, could you explain some tips to minimize the copying between students? In a paper exam, we already made modules. Remember in our college that even if the paper exam is taken in a room, every student around you has got a different module of the same exam. So in the electronic exam, when you randomize question and randomize choice, everybody has got, and you provided you make them sit in a room separate from each other with the invigilation of some doctors that are there in your class. So that will minimize the copying and minimize students from cheating. Any other question? Analyze electronic exam, already I defined it. Dr. Javed is already still talking about the clinical exam. So you have to show me what is your clinical exam and see how much of that we can make it electronic. Okay. There are ways of making a clinical exam electronic, but maybe not 100% electronic. Say you have stations where a student has to perform some actions. Each action has got a mark. So the examiner who is doing that performance checking, he can be having an iPad which is with the Blackboard connected with the Blackboard, and he has a rubric or a list of how many marks he needs to give. He can do that online directly into the Blackboard. So this way you have done the practical clinical skill testing as well as grading the way he has performed, and the mark automatically has gone to Blackboard. Janula Raju is asking how to download the marks of the student. Go to the grade center. Go to the grade center and then use the last option that you can see, work offline. Work offline, download. Download will tell you the whole grade center or a certain column. So you can say select column. Selected column, and then define saying I want the mark only for a certain exam like this one here, and then when you submit it will be ready for you to download the file. You can open in Excel, okay, and that will show you the names of the student and the marks that they have got. In the same way, if you have done a paper exam and you'd like to upload the results to Blackboard, then I would suggest first create a blank column in the grade center. Download the blank column, the paper exam that you have already done or the clinical exam that you have already done. You can put those marks in that blank column according to the student names and numbers, and then upload this file onto the grade center. Then every student will see only his mark. Okay, this way, sometimes we resort to a easier option saying, okay, I've got all the marks on a piece of paper. I'll just create a PDF file, shows you all the names of the student and the grade they've got, and we put it to announcement or we put it in the lecture section, and everybody sees everybody's marks. So what we have done in our college is that even if the paper exam has been done, we want to show the score to every respective student. We don't want to show the students all the marks for all the students. So we create blank columns, fill them up with the marks, and then go back again to the Blackboard, import it there, and let the students go to my grade center and let him or her look at his mark only. Some more questions are coming. Respected coordinator, are you going to send? Okay, recording is not my. Can you explain again how to upload marks? As I've said already. As I've said, how to download, upload mark. We have created an 11 tasks Blackboard proficiency manual. If you provide us with the email address, we can send you the PDF file. They will take you through the basics of Blackboard, including how to create grade center columns and how to add marks and how to upload, download. We can give you actually all the support that you need and show you the way it is done. Any more questions? No, I think time is up now. So I will say, please take my email address. And send your request by you sending me the email, because I have too many people email sending, so I will have difficulty to get all your. Dr. Ahmed, send it to me, okay? Can you see my email address? Ayub, AYYUB, B for Bravo, at kkU.edu.sa. Mr. Abdul Ahsan, can you see my email? Ayub, AYYUB for Bravo, Ayub at kkU.edu.sa. I have put it in the chat. I don't know why you can't see it. Yeah, there you are. Okay, thank you very much. And goodbye for now.